Regardless of the records, regardless of the national or conference implications, it's the Iron Bowl. So should there be any more incentive needed? We got Stephen M. Smith on the line from Touchdown, Alabama. Please check him out right here on YouTube every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m. Central Time. The show's in my own words. You can catch him right here. Give him a call. Talk Bama. All right, Stephen, how you doing today?
Doing great, Mark. I'm excited for this Thanksgiving, getting a chance to eat this outstanding food and catch some football, but definitely be around all members of the family this week.
Stephen, when I think about this game, and I don't have nearly the experience that you do with it, but at the same time, I was in the South there in Mississippi, Alabama for 7 years, and I went to this game a number of times, and it's at the top of the list of college football rivalries. It's right there, arguably the greatest, and certainly has its own unique flavor. So when somebody says Iron Bowl to you, even if it's the middle of May, what do you think of?
I mean, I just think of so many conversations and heated conversations about why is Alabama better? Why is Auburn better? There are many heated conversations between family members, husband and wives, best friends, children, siblings. I went to a high school where the head principal was an Alabama fan and the assistant principal was an Auburn fan. So there were fights at the high school I graduated from every single day. So, living, breathing the culture of this rivalry is real. This past season, I was at Jordan-Hare for the Iron Bowl, the one that went down to 4 overtimes before Bryce Young finds John Mechie for a 2-point conversion to win 24-22. And Mark, I couldn't hear myself thinking there. Just the atmosphere, the foundation was shaking. Both of these teams could go 0-11 as long as the one win for Auburn is against Alabama, or the one win for Alabama is against Auburn. It just means so much for those 364 days of bragging rights. I mean, we have seen coaches get a contract extension based off this game. We've seen, Gus Malzahn, even though the Auburn faithful wanted him out of there, you beat Alabama, you get another you have another year extension. We've seen where Mike Shula, had the people want him out of there. You beat Auburn, you get a 1-year extension. So this rivalry is just so steeped in, can I just one up the other guy?
You've got to live with that fan base, that other fan base every day, the rest of the year for 365 days. They're in your family, they're your friends, your neighbors, they're all over the place. And you got to hear them boast their bragging rights for the next 365. Nobody wants that. That's for sure. I remember driving from Ohio to Mississippi. This was sometime in May or June. This was about 20 years ago, and I'm just searching around the dial looking for some sports radio, and I pick up on Alabama sports radio station. This is in May or June, and I'm hundreds of miles away from Alabama. I'm somewhere in Tennessee, and I find an Alabama radio station. They are arguing about Alabama and Auburn in the middle of May or June, not even close to football season.
But Mark, that's how it is, though. That's how it is. It doesn't matter what moment, what time of the season it is. The Iron Bowl is a year-round conversation, and now it's being stooped so much. It's being stooped now in recruiting more so than ever, especially with the state of Alabama being loaded back with talent on the recruiting trail. So now it's, these recruits, they know about this Iron Bowl rivalry, and they're being pulled, whether for Alabama, whether for Auburn, and there's a coach in this game. Cadillac Williams is the interim coach, an Alabama native from Gadsden, Alabama, just north of Birmingham. He had a chance to play for either Auburn or Alabama, chose the Tigers, was a 2-time 1,000-yard back. And what's crazy, Coach Saban had the chance to draft Cadillac Williams to the Miami Dolphins in the 2005 NFL draft, but he chose to take Cadillac's former Auburn teammate, Ronnie Brown. So this is just very interesting as life comes full circle here for Carnell Williams this weekend.
Regardless of that, Nick Saban had some kind words for Cadillac Williams and the work that he's doing at Auburn.
It's incredible the work that Cadillac has done. I mean, Auburn going from firing Brian Harsin, you thought all of the train had come completely off of the track, and here comes Cadillac Williams in here. Auburn back-to-back wins. You get a victory over Texas A&M 13-10. You beat Western Kentucky, and now the Auburn faithful's going, we beat Alabama. We're 6-6. We go to a bowl game. We can salvage this thing. It's actually possible. We can salvage this thing. And Coach Saban talked about the same characteristics that Williams had as a player, the toughness, the passion, the enthusiasm, the high energy, the just will not be denied competitiveness. He has brought it to this team as the interim head coach, and these guys have bought all the way into this. Now, Cadillac served as the running backs coach prior to this moment, going back to 2019, but they have bought all the way into his passion. They have bought all the way into his style. Like I mentioned, Mark, the Auburn fan base just weeks and months ago were like, let's hang it up. It's over. Season's done. And then you fire Brian Harsin. You rip off some wins, including one against A&M. And now the Tiger faithful are going, hold on here. We can get to a bowl game? We can actually get to one? So this Iron Bowl, despite the fact no Heisman Trophy implications, no SEC championship implications, no college football playoff implications, it's still as intriguing as it gets because of the ignition of fire that Cadillac Williams has got going on the plains.
Our guy, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama, is here to break down the Tide. And, of course, it's the Iron Bowl. Need we say more? TouchdownAlabama.com. And, of course, his show that you can see right here on YouTube every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 Central, In My Own Words. When you look over this Auburn team, we're not going to try to sugarcoat it. They're 5-6. They've not met expectations, although the expectations weren't very high. It's not as talented a roster as we've seen in the past from Auburn, but still, they did take LSU to the wire. They did get that win against Texas A&M. They beat a Mizzou team that's notched a couple wins in the SEC Eastern Division. So it's a narrow path to victory for Auburn, but who do you think those key players are and matchups that could turn their way?
I think number one is it's going to be Tank Bigsby. It's got to be him. I mean, this is one of the more talented backs in the conference. Alabama has struggled at times stopping the run. Now, I understand Alabama will be at home this week. Their struggles on the run have come on the road. When you look at Arkansas giving up over 100 yards rushing to Raheem Sanders. When you look at Alabama on the road giving up big production to guys like Josh Williams of LSU, giving up plays to Tennessee's running back, last name Wright. They've had some struggles there on the road against the backs in the SEC, even against Quinshon Judkins of Ole Miss. Judkins had nearly 140 yards rushing at 135 against Alabama. So Tank Bigsby, he's got to be looking at this going, hey, if my offensive lineman can just give me a chance, I have opportunity to run up and down this field on this Alabama defense. So it's going to start with him in this Auburn offensive line getting a push, getting some type of penetration, some type of movement against this Alabama defensive front. But I think the main thing for Auburn, in this matchup is going to be the Tigers defense. And how do they get after Bryce Young in this matchup? I mean, keep in mind, Bryce Young told reporters on Monday that he's feeling a lot better. He's feeling good. He's 100% coming off the sprained AC joint in his throwing shoulder that he suffered against Arkansas, though he did start in matchups against Tennessee, and LSU. But at the same time, this has been an Alabama offensive line that has been susceptible to giving up sacks. And, Bryce Young has been hit quite the amount of times this season. And the one thing we do know about Auburn is even in troublesome years, they keep a formidable defense. They keep a defensive front that will harass the quarterback, that will get pressure, that will use different stunts, different blitz packages to get somebody free on the edge or get somebody free in the middle to get pressure into the quarterback's face. So while I think offensively this game has got to be ran through Tank Bigsby. I look at defensively for the Tigers. Can they get to Bryce Young, affect him early and often, even inside Brian Denny? And I think, Mark, the weather can play a factor in this game. I believe the weather, they're calling for 70 to 80% chance of rain inside Brian Denny. So if that does not subside, I think the weather could play a big role in this year's Iron Bowl.
Colby Wooden and Derek Hall would be the most likely candidates to get to the quarterback with over double-digit tackles for loss and 6.5 sacks for Auburn. We get Stephen M. Smith on the line from Touchdown Alabama. Catch him on his show, In My Own Words, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right here on YouTube, 6 Central Time. Give Stephen a call. Kyrie Jackson, defensive back, will not be playing in the Iron Bowl. He's been suspended. I don't believe he's played since the LSU game, so that shouldn't, I wouldn't think that would mess up any secondary rotations.
It should not. And what the thing with Kyrie, Mark, is kind of interesting because it started off of him as a lower body injury, an ankle injury, actually. That was Coach Saban's first update, weeks back. And then since then, we saw on Monday Saban coming out with it. Well, yes, Kyrie Jackson now suspended. He did not divulge into any details. Normally, Saban does not do that. It was maybe it's a team rule that may have been broken. Normally, Saban says these types of things are handled internally within the program, but not necessarily sure what Jackson did or may have done. I know it started off with him with a slight injury of an ankle, but now we have the news that he is suspended. But the rotation has been the two starters, Kool-Aid McKinstry and Eli Ricks. Behind those two, you got Terrion Arnold, freshman Earl Little Jr. is now back healthy after having an injury prior to fall camp, sustaining a issue there with his shoulder. So he's back good. So Alabama's got depth there at that defensive back position, primarily at corner. But just kind of an eerie thing about Jackson getting suspended because not quite sure what played into that or what took place there. But once again, Saban chose to not go into any information about what could have happened.
Stephen, you mentioned recruiting and the ties within the state, and obviously these two battling it out for recruits on an annual basis. Any particulars this year in regards to any guys that are on the line or any just overall Alabama recruiting news as we are just about 3 weeks away from National Signing Day?
Well, Mark, two guys that are huge here in terms of this Iron Bowl, and both of these two are from Carver High School in Montgomery, which is right there in the middle of all of it. And that would be Quay Russaw and James Smith, two tremendous defensive recruits for 2023. James Smith, just a menacing defensive lineman, a guy that can just attack from a defensive tackle standpoint, pass rush moves, run stuffing ability, a guy that's really quick feet, really athletic, just a versatile, mean athlete. And then you have his teammate, Quay Russaw, who's sideline to sideline quickness, a guy that can lay the wood, a guy that can play well in coverage, play well in space. They both play tremendously together. These two are a package deal. You will not get one without the other. And right now, though Alabama's in prime position for both Russaw and Smith, this is an Iron Bowl affair. Auburn is right there too. And I think ever since Cadillac Williams took over as interim coach, he has started to build a relationship with both of these two young men. So I think that right there between Russaw and Smith, that's the biggest Iron Bowl recruiting battle to this point. Bama needs both of these two in terms of the defensive front for the future, but Auburn with Cadillac Williams to start to gain some momentum. This is going to be interesting.
Stephen, always good to see you. Get the breakdown on Bama football. Catch Stephen on In My Own Words right here on YouTube. That's at 6 Central, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Give him a call. Talk Alabama football, talk the SEC, and, of course, touchdownalabama.com is a great destination for Alabama football coverage, Iron Bowl, and postseason recruiting, everything going on here at the end of the year. Stephen, you enjoy that turkey and everything else that are your favorites surrounding the main dish, and enjoy this Iron Bowl, of course.
Absolutely, Mark will do it, and I will try to make sure my father's hopes for the Cowboys winning this week are not too high. But the guy's Pop's a diehard Cowboys fan, so it's going to be hard to do that.
Well, when you're a diehard Cowboys fan, Thanksgiving Day is always marked on the calendar because you got to play on Thanksgiving every year if you're a Cowboys fan.
Absolutely. So I will try to keep him under control.
All right, Steven. Good to see you.
All right.